Hey, what if I told you I'm a fraud? Nothing illegal, anything like that, but I was a fraud because for a long time I was showing up like someone I thought I had to be while hiding the truth of how I really felt. And I have a hunch that maybe, just maybe, I'm not the only one, that a few of you who are watching this now may relate as well. So stick with me and I'm going to connect the dots here in a second. And I promise this has everything to do with business or your career and how we show up in the world. So let's dive in. So, little story, man. I started my business pursuits early on, in my 20s, in fact, starting with a multi level marketing business that had the ability to make my wife and I excited, but never taught us about what it takes to truly build the business outside of making cold calls. So, we didn't last too long in that endeavor. Some good books on it, we read some good things, but as we truly weren't passionate about it or the products and or calling strangers out of the cold. I mean, I never liked that. I mean, at this point in my life was developing this fraudulent self-thinking, and then jump forward to 2012 and I got involved in real estate investing with my first rental property. And it happened almost by accident. Man, my sister-in-law, she was moving from Canada and couldn't qualify for a mortgage, so we bought a house and she rented it from us. And when she moved out 2 years later, the property, we re-rented it and the property started cash flowing. And it cash flowed really well. And I thought, well, there's something to this real estate business. Fast forward 6 more years, 6 years of saving, doing the things the safe way. And I finally bought my second property in 2020. Now, about the same time I purchased this second property, I'd come across this concept of the freedom number. I don't know if you've heard of that. It basically involves calculating your expenses, your income, and then estimating what your ideal life will cost, and then figuring out what is needed in terms of your business income. And in this case, since it was real estate, was really the only thing I was involved in at that time, I focused on it and what I needed to acquire in terms of rental properties. And I calculated that, and what it came out to be was about 30 cash flowing properties. So now think about this. It took me 8 years to get my second property, and doing the math, that equates to what? About 200 plus years to acquire the 30 properties to achieve my freedom number using the save and buy method of investing in real estate. Man, I was frustrated. I felt stuck. How do these people do this? I was doing all the right things and I still wasn't getting anywhere. It wasn't adding up. And I was heavy into my fraudulent self. Remember, again, nothing illegal. But then one day, YouTube served me up a video of this guy who was talking about creative finance and how buying properties without using your own credit or money. And it wrecked me because I realized there was a whole other way I'd been blind to. I thought that was it, man. That was the secret sauce, the magic pill. Now I'll hit my freedom number in a year, easy, right? So I did what most high performers do. I consumed that content like it was candy. But 2 months later, still nothing. And I wasn't in a good place as my fraudulent self was dominating me. But that's when I decided to find help, a partner who knew aspects of real estate investing that I didn't. And I met my current real estate business partner at a conference. We clicked. We made a commitment to get out there and work and take down some properties. And we got to work. And in 10 months together and in my personal portfolio, we were able to acquire 15 properties. And this should be the happy ending, but yet I still felt like a fraud. In fact, you'll see, I was producing results, but I wasn't enjoying them. In fact, this success was stressing me out even more, making me anxious, and unknowingly, I was passing that stress onto my daughter, onto the people around me, onto my partner. And it was my daughter, who happens to be my property manager, the wisdom of the youth, never ignore wisdom, no matter where it comes from, who set me straight. One day on a walk, she looked at me and said, "Dad, your energy is stressing us both out. Change your beliefs." Man, that hit hard. And that was the moment I realized I had been building from a foundation of fear. I was still a fraud. I was successful on paper, but inside, I was beginning to run by the limiting beliefs I'd inherited. These I didn't choose, but were handed to me, imprinted upon me, and I never questioned them. And here's what I found. My real estate success or my challenges, they weren't my problem. My business model wasn't the problem. But my biggest barrier was my belief system. I had been conditioned like high achievers to believe that if I just learned more, consumed more, hustle harder, grind, hustle, grind, then I eventually would be fulfilled. That never came, and it never would until I changed how I saw myself. For years, I coached students on leadership and mindset. I was in higher education after all, and yet I wasn't practicing what I used to preach. And I look back and I realized, man, the beliefs I were carrying, they weren't even mine. They were my mom's. She was doing her best as a widowed single parent, but she passed on fear, scarcity, self-doubt, survival. Man, I could go on for days, all of the things that she passed on to me. I remember she would say, Matthew. Matthew's what she called me when she was mad. Matthew, we can't afford that. Or you're not smart enough to go into engineering. But here's the truth. I did go into engineering, and I learned not just one, but I earned two engineering degrees and a PhD. I'm a published author. I built 3 businesses. Her fears weren't real. They simply weren't real. They were inherited. She inherited them probably from her parents. We never hurt for money. She put my sister and me through private universities, expensive private universities. Her beliefs were not true. Limiting beliefs are never true. That's when everything changed for me. And reflecting upon my own experience and tons of personal improvement content, I put myself through these steps. And they took my business and my life to the next level. I'd like to call this system the cycle of power. And I'm using it with my coaching clients who, for the most part, were frauds too. So write these down. Practice them. So number 1, it's awareness. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Identify the beliefs that are keeping you stuck. Write them down. Number 2, reframe them. Turn those limiting beliefs into empowering ones. And then prove them to yourself with real evidence from your life. Number 3, it's activation. Build daily habits that reinforce your new beliefs. I use this acronym, silly acronym, but it's I AM, right? It's implement affirmations, meditation, mindfulness, and manifestation. Do it every day, morning and night. Then take aligned action. Take the steps to match your new belief system and your new big vision, not to any action, but aligned actions. And then the 5th thing you need to do, it's really surround yourself with good, uplifting people. It's community, the power of community, the power of partnership. Just surround yourself with these people that reflect your highest potential. You were never meant to do this alone. And number 6, this is the hardest, is to relax. When you're doing the work, showing up with integrity, the results will come. Trust the process. Stop trying to control everything. Stop trying to force. And I committed to these steps, to this inner work, not just as a concept, but as a daily practice. My life exploded, and in the best way. I'm no longer stressing out. I'm no longer stressing out my family or my partners. The opportunities now just seem to show up. And they weren't before coming to me, but now they are. And between my wife and I, we now are running 6 businesses. And from managing a real estate portfolio to consulting to coaching high-achieving professionals. Man, my coaching business is growing, and we are building a team. But most importantly, I don't walk around with anxiety or doubt anymore. I don't force things. I have learned how to relax, how to do the work of taking aligned action to keep my mindset in a powerful state, and then relax. I'm no longer that fraud. I'm a facilitator of freedom for myself, for my family, and for the people I serve. So if you've been grinding, but it still feels like something's missing, I want you to know you're not fragmented. You don't need to try harder. What you need is to release the resistance that's holding your power hostage. Your business will only grow as far as your beliefs allow. And the moment you shift those beliefs, everything changes. So thank you for letting me share a little piece of my journey. I hope it helps you find your next powerful step. And be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe and like this episode and send me a comment. I read comments all the time and I will respond. And remember, the beliefs you hold dictate the life you will experience. So until the next episode, take care.